we have more moves coming as an insider reveals some shocking details when it comes to the relevancy of the new Brett Burns signing and some possible moves for the Avalanche in the future. What is up, Avs Nation? This is Avs Digest. If you love the Avs, you absolutely love the team and love to keep up with them, this is the place to be. You found the right spot. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I see the 87.4% of you guys out there that aren't actually subscribed. Go ahead and kindly decimate the subscribe button. It's free to do so. It's pretty fun, trust me. And let's actually just get right into the video so I can show you exactly what you're missing. So basically, the two biggest pieces of news came right here with Chris Johnston and Elliotte Friedman. We'll get to the Chris Johnston one first, because he basically had to say that there is an incomplete feeling to the Avs roster. And he's absolutely right. I don't think that's any secret. If you're an Avs fan, you know there are literal holes on this roster, especially with the Charlie Coyle trade, including Miles Wood. So they're definitely going to have a busier offseason. But one of the things that I feel like has been a little too critical of this front office, and don't get me wrong, the Avs front office is not my favorite. If I had it my way, there would be mass firings across the entire Avs organization. But really, one thing that I want to point out is there are several contending teams that have plenty of cap space and haven't spent it. And there are a lot of players still on free agency that just straight up haven't been signed. So it's not an Avs problem. It's really a league-wide problem. And it seems like a lot of contenders and teams that have money to spend are looking to trade. So that's definitely going to pop off here sometime soon. We're just kind of in the dog days of the summer. But another interesting piece that kind of gives you a little bit of clarity about the defense is what Elliotte Friedman had to say. Basically, he said that Brett Burns didn't want to re-sign in Carolina because Carolina was going to decrease his role. Obviously, Brett Burns was playing first top pairing minutes. He was playing like 23 minutes a night. Way too much for a guy that's 39 years old and going to be 40. So it's interesting that the Avs were the team that offered him a better deal. What does this mean for this roster? Well, we know Sam Malinski is important to the Avs. Brett Burns is probably not long for this league. As much as I like the guy, as much as I think he's good, we're probably going to get a situation where Brett Burns eventually retires here in the next year or two. We know Josh Manson is signed, but I've also heard some rumblings personally through my own sources, through my own people, that Josh Manson is potentially going to be demoted to a third-line role moving forward, especially with his age. He's not going to be a second-pairing guy forever. So Sam Malinski possibly takes the reins of that second-pairing role on the right side. It's interesting to see. It's also interesting to understand what might happen to Sam Girard, a guy that is very controversial in the Avs community, but could be the odd man out when you're looking to get some assets to help the team win now. We're going to keep an eye on that, but an interesting thing was, because that Chris Johnston said the Avs are making so much moves, there's an interesting dilemma that I want to talk about right now with the Florida Panthers. See, the Florida Panthers are actually in cap debt right now. And the way it works is you're allowed to be 10% over the cap. But the problem is during the second the regular season hits, you cannot be over the cap or you get penalized. So the Florida Panthers cannot be negatively under the cap. So they have to obviously make up this $3.75 million. And they have to make trades. Obviously, as much as the Florida Panthers have been good at building their depth, they have to trade some players in order to actually be cap compliant. One of those players that very, very conveniently makes about $3 million is Evan Rodrigues. And remember, Mikko Mikkola has to re-sign with the Florida Panthers. He doesn't have to, but the Florida Panthers love that guy. They absolutely want to re-sign him, so they have to make room for even more money. And a guy that they could possibly trade out is our own friend of the Avalanche, Evan Rodrigues. If you guys don't know, Evan Rodrigues was a former Avs player. He was absolutely amazing. I miss the guy every day, but that's besides the point. Here are some of his stats. You can see He's been a fantastic player. He had probably his best statistical year in the Colorado Avalanche system with 39 points in 69 games. Nice. And he really just, like you can see, compared to the rest of his games played, he was like prepped to blow that out of the water in Colorado. You see his playoff numbers, and you are absolutely in love with it. Now, why do I think that the Avs would be interested in Evan Rodrigues? Well, there's an interesting phenomenon going on in the Avs community. We talk a lot about, like, the top six is set. We know that. The defense, technically on paper, is set. Obviously, I'd like some more moves. But you look at this bottom six, and there are, like, 3 AHL guys, and Ivan, Prishapov, and Steinberg, projected to be on this roster. So, obviously, there needs to be more moves. And a lot of people are asking who's going to be our third-line center now that Charlie Coyle is gone. Well, the answer has kind of been right in front of us. That's Jack Drury. In fact, Chris MacFarland has actually gone on the record and said that Jack Drury probably has a lot more to give. So the Avs organization feels very strongly in Jack Drury. And you might be saying, like, but Gavin, the Jack Drury is just a fourth-line center. Why do you think he can be a third-line center? See, I predicted you would ask that. I'm actually in your walls. And because of that, I've pulled up some stats from Jack Drury. And really, these are the things that show me that this is not just a fourth-line center. I mean, you look at his AHL numbers. You see that eventually he was given the letter in the AHL for the Chicago Wolves. And he's like putting up very promising numbers in the AHL. And then he gets to the NHL and suddenly caps out at a fourth-line center. I don't buy it. I think Jack Drury, you watch him, you use the eye test, as much as I hate to actually use that term. You use your eye test and you see this kid has so much skill, and he's only 25 years old. He has so much left to give for the NHL, and really surrounded by fantastic wings, already by Ross Colton, who is a clutch playoff performer for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I absolutely believe will be for the Colorado Avalanche. Say you put a, conveniently, just spitballing here, left wing in Evan Rodrigues next to Jack Drury, suddenly that third line is going to be chipping in offensively for you in the playoffs, and it's going to be fantastic. That then allows you to really focus on your fourth line and really just say, oh yeah, we need to go get fourth liners. Easy compared to everything else. And you look at what the Avs actually now have to trade. They got some decent picks, and Florida, the Panthers, would probably not like anything resembling a roster player, because then they would have to pay him. So they would most likely rather prefer draft capital for a trade like Evan Rodrigues. And conveniently, if you guys are looking at those 2 beautiful second-round picks in the 2027 draft, those are picks you should absolutely jettison into the sun to get Evan Rodrigues. I love the guy. I think he was completely overplayed in the role he had here in Colorado, and he was still great. I mean, you look at the numbers he's been able to put up. You look at his playoff numbers. Absolutely bring Evan Rodrigues home. I would love to have him in the Avs lineup. But really, these are the type of moves that the Avs can take advantage of. With a weak a weak free agent class, you look at trades like this, where you can sort of kind of take advantage of teams that are under the cap, like the Florida Panthers, and start taking care of their contracts. Evan Rodrigues is a player that is making $3 million for basically the next 2 years. That is a fantastic contract to have, especially if your third-line center in Jack Drury is only making $1.7 million. That is extremely cost-efficient. I would absolutely love that for the Avs' depth. And really, that would pretty much make the entire bottom 6 look a lot better. The Avs already have their top 6. They have their defense. I hope they change it a little bit. They have their goaltending. It's going to be one of the best tandems in the league. So really, you're just looking at these peripheral players, and you're looking at an upgrade there. Really, what the Avs' work that they have left to do is not as bad as it seems. I'm very hopeful for this season, and I'm very excited to see what the moves come for the Colorado Avalanche. But let me know what you guys think, Avs Nation. What trades would you like to see get made? Let me know in the comments down below. I will see you guys in the next one, and don't forget to subscribe.